Let's take a look at the problem then. All right, sorry this isn't super clear, but we can make do, we can deal with this. So our page says exploring growing patterns. Every day Maya runs 2 more blocks than the day before. The first day she runs 10 blocks. To keep track of how many blocks she runs, Maya fills in a table like this one. You see the day. So on day 1, she ran 10 blocks. On day 2, she ran 12 blocks. On day 3, 14, and the pattern continues. So the first question is asking, on what day will Maya run 32 blocks? I see. I can use it. So I'm just trying to find my toolbar, but it's kind of hidden up here, but I can still use it. All right, so I'm going to use my typewriter function. So today, what I really want to see students doing is I really want you practicing making a little chart to keep track of patterns and extending those charts. So there's kind of 2 ways that you could predict these future patterns that this page is going to ask you. And both ways are great. So I'm going to focus on just extending a chart. And then at the end of this lesson, I'll show you a more advanced way to maybe predict future patterns. But I want you to understand that if you are just using a chart and extending it, that's great. That is okay, and that is a fine place to be in for grade 4. So we're talking about term, or in this chart, I could say day because it's already labeled for me. And the other part is blocks. And I'm going to continue the pattern. I don't have to rewrite it because it's already written for me above. So on day 11, how many blocks would Maya have run? Well, I can see that the pattern starts at 10 and goes up by 2 each time. Goes up by 2 each time. So on day 11, we're going to be at 30 blocks. And on day 12, be at 32. So if I wanted to put my answer down here and maybe a little sentence, I could say on day 12, Maya run 32 blocks. Stretch this out a little bit more. Okay, so 1A is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. I'm actually going to go through 1B with you. And then what you will need to be doing during your math time today is working on the back part of the page. And also there is a second page down here for exploring patterns. So there's 2 parts to today's lesson. So there is kind of lots of work to do. So I'll go through the first 2 questions with you. I've already put a video up on the website to help you with this page. And then when I'm done this morning's math lesson, I'll put this video up that we're recording right now. So on what day will Maya run 80 blocks? So let's continue our pattern. And we're going to put our typewriter here. And I'm going to move it way over here because I know I'm going to need a lot of space. And we have day, and we have blocks. And because I've already done some of the work up here, and some of the work was already done for me up here, I could start on day 13. Because I know day 12 was 32. So on day 13, that would be 34. On day 14, 36. On day 15, we're at 38, 16, 40. Oops. I want them to line up so it's easy to read. On day 17, we have 42. And I could keep going all the way up until I get to 80 blocks. So I keep going until I get to 80. And it would be your job to figure out what day that would happen on. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time counting by 2s with my computer because it's just really slow. But hopefully you understand and you can extend that pattern. Now, I'm just going to read through the other questions on the page and talk about them a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and show you maybe a more advanced way that we could figure this out. Come back to 1B. Okay, so in C, it says, how many days will it be before Maya runs at least 80 blocks altogether? So for this question, we want to know how many days it will take her to run 80 blocks altogether. So what that means is we're kind of adding her blocks up as she goes. So after 1 day, it's just going to be a different type of chart. So we're going to be talking about days, and we're going to be talking about blocks total or altogether. Here's how it's going to look a little different. On day 1, Maya ran 10 blocks, right? On day 2, we know she ran 12 blocks. We want to add day 1's amount. So on day 2, she ran 12 blocks, but we want to add 10 blocks from day 1 to get a total. So 12 plus 10. So on day 2, she actually ran 22 blocks. So on day 3, Maya ran 14 blocks, and we could add 14 to 22 and get 36. And we're going to just continue that table until you figure out how many days it took her to run 80 blocks. And the next question takes it one step further. How many days will it take Maya to run 500 blocks altogether? So continue to extend your pattern, working on your addition skills, and that is how you're going to complete that. If you need to do work on a rough piece of paper, you totally can do that. All right, so question 2, it says create your own growing pattern and make the 10th term in your pattern 36. So we've got kind of the framework set up for you. You need to create a pattern that grows, and the 10th term is 36. So you'll have to describe how your pattern grows, and then extend your pattern to figure out the 50th term and the 100th term. So again, the main focus and main goal for today is, can you create some charts that keep track of patterns so that you can extend them? Okay, I mentioned that I would show you an advanced way to work on something like this. I will have to do that with just a video that's not live.